Okay, so I'm indeed also working in a search, and it's quite useful to know when data from your constituents has been leaked on the internet, or when email accounts have been compromised, or certain forums where your users use their same email addresses of the work, and perhaps the same passwords are leaked. In other contexts, we also have Xavier Mertens here, who started this similar projects before, and he has a website who's called leakedin.com, and over there he publishes automatically all information, fancy information that was leaked on pastebin. So I'm quickly going to three steps. So first, what is pystemon? So as he said, it's a tool to monitor websites like pastebin. The pystemon itself monitors like 7 or 8 websites. Currently, it's built to be easily configurable, so you can easily add new websites. But it's not only to monitor, but it's also made to be able to archive the sites. So every paste you see on a website, you can keep it and store it on your local disk. That's kind of useful to keep copies of pastes which contains leaked information. They are usually deleted within hours or days. So when you have a copy, you can still do your work, either analyzing the leaked data or incident handling. So the tool itself has an alerting feature. So when you can configure your searches based on regular expressions, and when it finds something that interests you, it can send you an email. You can also configure the multi-threaded parts. So automatically the tool will start different threads for each paste website, and you can configure how many parallel threads it will use to download each paste from each site. But some sites implement some security measures like throttling and etc. So there's also a feature to import a list of proxies, and the tool will then automatically use random proxies from your configuration file. And when a proxy is not working after a few attempts, it will remove the proxy from the list, so it will still work and download the pastes. You can also configure it to use random user agents. By default on the GitHub site, I deliver a list of 7,000 user agents that are all real, so based on a log collection. The tool has been built to enable to add very easily new sites. So I will show a few examples. When you run the tool is command line based, but when you run the tool, you will see this output. When the program starts, you see that it immediately downloads the list of the last pastes published on the site, and then it puts everything in buckets, and each thread will process the buckets to download the paste in parallel. When you have a hit for a search you programmed, you also see in the output that it found a hit for what you were searching for. So the alerting part, it's kind of easy. The configuration file is a YAML based. So we have the search section with 2 points in here. So many options, many parameters are optional. So the first is a simple search for domain name. It's based on regular expressions, so you can configure it to lower the chance of false positives. For example, in here I ask example.com, but everything before should not be a normal letter. So that means that the main domain and the subdomains are included, but not hello example.com. You can also put a description which is more user-friendly in emails and in logging. But for some cases you like to exclude things from the search. So if, for example, in the second line I have a search for download, but I do not want to see the words porn, sex or teen, and I want to have at least 4 hits of the search keywords, and only then it will alert me if it's available. You can also configure the regular expression flags. So, for example, I had situations where I had to search for data which was multi-line. So you just set the regex flag and you can go even further. Site itself is extremely easy to configure, so you can add your own site and share them, please. For pastebin, you have the archive URL. That's the page that contains the list of the last, for pastebin, I think it's like 50 or 80 pastes. The regular expression you want to use to extract the unique paste ID and the URL where he should download that ID. There are also two parameters, update max and update min. That's to add some variable parts in the download. So it will download or check for updates of the archive URL in a range between 30 and 40 seconds, so that automated tools will have less chance to detect you. Unfortunately, monitoring websites like pastebin is not easy. You have rate limiting, so the solution was to add proxies and user-based spoofing, user agent spoofing. Some websites don't have list of recent pastes, so there you're kind of screwed, except if you have another source where you can import the pastes. Some pastes are password protected, then you also need the paste ID and a password. On some paste sites, there is no separate download page or download pages that require form submits. That means you can't simply download the page automatically. The paste site has this example. And you can see that there's a unique confirmation key for each request. To solve this issue, I enabled a dynamic configuration of downloads features. So for the paste site, I have a separate class in my configuration. That's in the YAML configuration. And in the Python code, I simply create a class that inherits from my main pasty class. And over there, I override the fetch pasty function that downloads pasties. And I simply download the original pasty page, parse the right section, search for the confirmation string, submit a new the form, and get the real text-based pasty. Why is it important to have text-based pasties? Because some pastes contain HTML characters, and if it's shown in HTML view, you have they are usually pre-parsed to be not interpreted by the browser, so then your regular expression searches won't work. So the tool has kind of a dynamic configuration, dynamic class configuration. In the Python is really a nice language because it's extremely dynamic. You can use variable functions, you can use variable classes. So in here, I simply check if the class name variable is set in my YAML configuration. And then I search in the global pool of all classes if that class exists, and I create an instance of the class. So it's extremely easy within Python to use kind of a dynamic classes or dynamic functions. To solve one of the other problems, is that some sites don't have a list of recent pastes. But for example, they have a generation algorithm for the paste ID. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or A, B, C. So I plan to add also a dynamic archive list last pasties class, so that you could even program extra classes where algorithms could be programmed, so you could also download pastes from such sites. For the password protected pasties, I'll also have a solution in mind, is that I will provide classes to download the pastes and an interface where you can just submit the URL. He will automatically detect of what paste site the URL is, and then he will download the paste and search for the alert keyword and archive it if you want to have archived. So there was a very fast overview of pystemon. Um, Usually certs use this tool to have copies of deleted paste and be alerted automatically when something interesting happens on the paste sites. The code is on GitHub. Feel free to fork it, to send in bug reports, to fix bugs, or to program new paste sites, or inform me if you have some specific paste sites you know that is not yet present in the configuration, in default configuration, and feel free to contribute it. If you also monitor paste sites and have a list of regular expressions that are interesting, feel free also to share them, and I could put them on the GitHub sites. So maybe there are any questions?
Hi, I'm going to ask an annoying question. Where do you legally stand on downloading these contents and archiving them unless they're on a Creative Commons license or likewise licensed to be published for anyone's use?
I'm going to answer with the standard, I'm not a lawyer, but there are two parts. First of all, the code. This code is just any software, you can use it as you want. About the data that is published on websites, when it's published on the internet, it's kind of a public data. You still have kind of a copyright. If you downloaded it on your own system, it's kind of your problem. If you share the data you downloaded, then you have a more complex answer. So as long as you download things which are not illegal to possess, I mean, I don't know if it's illegal to possess a list of usernames and passwords. I don't know if it's illegal to possess some sample code someone pasted on the internet, like programming code or HTML code. I don't think that's illegal. I think the only risk you have of archiving paste sites is when you start sharing the pastes you saved on your disk. So I wouldn't expect any problems as long as you don't share what you saved on your disk.
Any work published, you have a copyright protection. So when you publish something on FOSDEM, it's like if you publish a book, you are protected for the copyright. So it's only the word distributions, like he just explained, that is problematic, not the fact to archive it.
For example, Xavier on leakedin.com has a kind of a WordPress blog where he automatically posts leaked data, and he has an abuse email address where he processes all abuse requests. So when someone asks, please take this offline, he takes it offline. So that's another way to still partially publish data, but still be in the kind of a legal zone. But of course, if you publish your data, be careful you don't publish credit cards or other protected data. There's still over there.
Me?
No, it's
Okay.
There was a question there, or yeah, over there.
Have you already tried to predict URLs for the next, I don't know, 50 archives?
Pardon, have I tried to?
On sites that don't have archives, you said, so they use generators or algorithms to generate the next IDs. Did you try to predict the next 50 pastes?
There was one site which was kind of easy, just an incrementing algorithm of AZ09. So that's something, when you look at 5 pastes, you immediately see it. I have not studied the algorithms of pastebin or any other paste sites. However, I think combining it with a search engine, like any favorite search engine, and searching for specific strings on the search engine and feeding that into the pystemon would be an interesting way to find things you can't find otherwise, and also to search in paste for URLs. Sometimes people publish pastes with links to other pastes, so then you can also discover things you didn't know yet. Of course, the tool also keeps in-memory lists for efficiency, a list of recent downloaded pastes, so it doesn't download the same ID twice. You can also store it in a database, not the complete paste, but references of what has been found and what paste and what URL, etc.
Okay.
So it's still a tool in progress, but it's big. It's kind of stable right now.